Poor Jimmy Kimmel, the late night not so funny host on Disney's ABC, is saying see you later. Not just to first place, not just to second place, but now the late night comic is all the way down in third. The honeymoon is over after he lied about a national tragedy and somehow, some way, made it all about him. But he's here on his soapbox to tell you he's the virtuous one. He's the one who understands even what Christ would say. No, really. Hello, folks. It's a dandy of a day. Thank you for coming our way. We've got another video of excellence analysis, the likes of which you shall not see anywhere else. And we're going to bring it to you regarding Jimmy Kimmel and the rest of the late night crew. Gutfeld is the king. He's got the crown on his head, but instead, they refuse to declare it in any of the headlines. Let's dive in. Click the like button, and off we go. Well, he's dropped to third place, and how did that happen? How did he already lose the race? Well, with stuff like this. Let's go to Jimmy Kimmel now and what he says Jesus would say about immigration.
Christianity is
something else
has
now.
been co-opted and perverted in such a way, and that I find especially upsetting. And that, you know, I think about what Jesus would think of this stuff, you know, and I mean, it seems pretty plain that he wouldn't think it's great, that he wouldn't approve of nannies being yanked out of the park and thrust into a van to be returned to their home countries because their paperwork is not in order.
Now, we could get into the immigration stuff, but I think that's enough. I don't really want to go there necessarily. I'll just say that, you know, listen, things get messy and we want laws to be followed. We want kind and gentle handling of everybody out there. But Jimmy Kimmel is weighing in, and he's doing this in a way that I think might be offensive because it turns out that based on Jimmy Kimmel interviews we've had going back years and years, this is not a man who is actively going to church or anything like that. Michelle, he's using the religion. He's using the religion to kind of put upon others what his political views are. And that might be why he's dropping to third place. Before we go into how far he's fallen in the ratings already, Michelle, your thoughts on that interview and the way that he's handling that on a podcast that, by the way, is a Conan O'Brien podcast where Conan's not there. So they waited till Conan's not there to be like, hey, let's turn into religion here.
Yeah, for starters, I don't really take my religious theological understanding from one Jimmy Kimmel. There's been zero fruit of his life that I have seen that would warrant that for him to be able to speak that into people's lives. It's interesting too, without getting too political or too theological. So there's a problem with Jesus would have a problem with people who break the law, which Scripture tells us that God gave us authority, government, and that we are to basically abide by it. So Jesus would take problem with the government doing their, enacting the law that is set up in this situation. But I guess Jesus is unbothered by, according to Jimmy Kimmel, for parents to put their young sons on hormone blockers that, let's just say, at ages, but well before their brains are developed, to where one day, if they change their mind, we'll phrase it this way, they will not be able to have a child. And I guess Jesus is fine with that.
It's a one-way decision made by people that are not the person who will suffer the consequences. Yes, what a horrible thing. And by the way, Michelle, Jesus would also be totally fine with lying about a national tragedy and making it all about yourself. And that's totally cool. That's totally cool. But you know what's not cool? This kind of stuff with the American public. Now, he can go on the podcast. And by the way, he's on the podcast because he is taking a vacay this week. In fact, Jimmy Kimmel, we're calling this the Great Late Night Reset because Jimmy Kimmel this week is in reruns. And that's no fun for ABC because all of that itty-bitty surge he had that was greatly amplified by the media, it's going away. And that's going to be the reset. But things are not okay even going back before he went into reruns. Here's what the Late Nighter has to say about this. Jed Rosenzweig is the one writing it. Weekly ratings, Colbert reclaims the 11:35 lead as Jimmy Kimmel holds steady. You'll notice that 11:35 lead that we continue to mock, rightfully so, because seriously, is that what we have to say to make sure these guys get to win? They're the 11:35 winners. Oh, good grief. Here's what it says. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert returned to the top of the 11:35 ratings race last week. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it only took 3 weeks for Jimmy Kimmel to drop down. And guess what? In the 11:35. According to Nielsen Live, +3 data for the week of October 12th through 19th, The Late Show averaged 2.46 million total viewers and a 5.38 share among adults 18 to 49. It surged 57%, by the way, because Colbert was on reruns the week before. So he came back and knocked Jimmy Kimmel in third place. Kimmel has held a steady second place with 2.11 million total viewers and a 5.78 share in the 18 to 49. It goes on to talk about Jimmy Fallon, but here's what you need to know. On cable, Fox News Gutfeld drew 3.12 million viewers and 223,000 adults. In other words, Gutfeld's the king. Gutfeld's the king, and they run these headlines. They run these headlines of 11:35 so that they can exclude Gutfeld in the headline because they're so bruised by him winning over and over and over again. It's embarrassing me at this point for them to play this game. Jonas, they can't stand to say that a cable news channel is winning late night, but it is, and it has to do with the stuff like Jimmy Kimmel coming out and telling us the Christological understanding of immigration laws and, haranguing people, Christians, for daring to believe something other than what he believes. Jonas, are you there? Sorry,
I didn't realize you were talking to me specifically there. The problem with generally speaking, is he says Christianity would have a problem with this, or Christ would have a problem with this. You would have a problem with a lot of things because if you're a follower of his teachings, he was calling on the entire world to repent and do better. So yes, he would have a problem with a lot of things. I think but I don't think that's exactly what Jimmy Kimmel is saying here. I think that he's trying to say that, well, I have an idea of how the church should operate. And I think we can all, without going into it, understand why the theological takes of Jimmy Kimmel, host of The Man Show, a man who cannot get through an entire show without demonizing half of the United States, and would at the same time, if it was a foreign country with the same political takes, he would pay reverence to it because they don't qualify as his view of accountable. I think this is a man with a deeply mistaken worldview, and has probably been told by some, and I don't mean to throw the entire state under the bus, but a California hippy-dippy, maybe Unitarian preacher, that everything is fine.
Did you just call it a flavor of Ben and Jerry's right then?
I wouldn't. They include a lot of things in there, and let's say they might be too hot for the FDA there. If they, I wouldn't want to go to a creamery that had those level of restrictions on it. I'm going to backtrack before I say too much about a specific aspect of faith here. The thing that Jimmy Kimmel is trying to do is he's trying to say, well, and maybe the implication here is that he's trying to say that if Jesus were here, he would say, okay, well, this policy's fine, this policy's fine, this policy's fine. Whereas it's already been stated by Michelle, his only teaching on government was respect your governmental leaders and pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Those taxes went towards some pretty awful things in Roman times, and Christians and Jews were expected to pay them. So,
yeah, and I would just add to this too. I don't want to say that if you're on the left, or if you're on the right, or in the center, that you can't be a Christian or anything like that. I don't think that's accurate. But what I dislike so much about how Jimmy Kimmel plays the game is he's trying to say, oh, if you don't believe in Christianity the way that I believe in Christianity, if you don't, and if you take a policy difference other than me, then you've been co-opted into evil. And this guy is an unfunny late night host who just had to come out and weep and cry because he was yanked off the air by a Disney who would love to keep him. Like, he was so audaciously bad that he's the guy, and yet he somehow still manages to be the arbiter of morality and ethics for all of us, and a theologian to boot. And it's like, buddy, why don't you take a month? Like, just take a month off from being on your high horse, considering you just came out and lied about a national tragedy. Let's go back to Jimmy real quick. I want to play the rest of this clip.
Really, really fast. I want to say too, according to Jimmy, going back in the COVID times, if Jesus was deciding who he was going to heal that day, he would say, "Oh, the unvaccinated, you don't get healed."
That exactly right.
Point.
And that's why this guy is kind of vile. Here's the rest of the clip.
That just all really seems very obvious to me. And I think that it is to most people, but it's become this us versus them. It's become almost like sports where I root for the red team and you root for the blue team. And everything the blue team does is good and everything the red team does is bad and vice versa. And I just sometimes I hope and maybe foolishly that it will resonate with at least those people who don't have their minds complete.
Michelle, he's in the middle. I see you throwing your hands up in the air. Michelle, I got to bring you back in one more time. Yeah, this is driving you crazy. He's seen the light. He's a centrist, Michelle. He's a peacemaker.
Yeah, he's saying it's not about them versus us. He makes it them versus us all the time. That's the way he speaks. He never speaks from the center. He never speaks as someone who's welcoming to people who disagree with him. He is the king of making it them versus us.
Well, he even did so in this particular clip more than a couple of times. And look, I don't believe anybody should be using Jimmy Kimmel as their moral center. So I could care less what his opinions are when
I think culture. His name is Deacon Jimmy.
Yeah, I hope not. Anyway, I think that people are going to kind of reject his opinions on Christianity because, I mean, he's never demonstrated, any of that. And he makes claims about being Christian, which almost caused me to vomit. But he's foul human. And he should apply some of his Christian values to himself on each and every show, as Michelle was saying.
This is textbook confession through projection. This is what this is. Okay, this is him confessing his sins or his guilt. Right? A lot of people say, "Well, you accuse your enemy of what you yourself are doing in order to muddy the waters." Really, it's about you have a built-in guilt to what you are doing. You know what you are doing is wrong, and you are attributing it to other people, and you are letting other people let everybody know that you, honestly, that you yourself are doing it. This is confession through projection. This is textbook. And I just, it's wild. It is wild to me because if you were to reverse that role, what he's saying makes a lot more sense.
And we just want to say, you can disagree with, because here on the panel, we've got nuanced views. Everybody's going to have a different position. If you dive deep enough, we're all going to disagree on something to some degree when it comes to religion. That's not really what we're here about necessarily. What I'm here to say is, Nat, this is a horrifically bad strategy for ratings. And we can see that because Kimmel has already dropped to third place. They don't want to call it third place. They want to call it second place, but he's dropped to third place and he's on pace to continue dropping.
Just ship him off to the island already with all the rest of the celebrities. But
the best response ever.
It's very clear that because they're seeing the culture shift and change, at least they feel like they need to start speaking more about what attracts the other side now that they see that more people are leaning that way. And they're just putting on the skin suit of religion and trying to say certain things and, bring it up more and more because they know that might attract somebody. But I'm guessing most people can see right through it.
That's right.
You're 100% right, and you just inspired me to create the aisle of misfit toys, and that's where we'll send all the celebrities. So, thank you for that.
Panel, any other thoughts on this one, on Jimmy Kimmel in third place? Mo, what do you got?
Well, he deserves it. And whoever is first place besides Gutfeld is just playing. They're just scrounging around in the sandbox outside of the house.
Mo, is that not amazing that Gutfeld is on a cable channel and is beating networks. I mean, that's incredible.
I followed him
ratings
for
are
like 20
crazy.
years. He deserves it. He's a funny guy. He's got a sharp wit, and yeah, and on Fox News of all things, which is not known for comedy.
Well, and
so-
and a lot of rhinos rolling through there too. But you know, I have to tell you, from the 5 on, you can kind of just tune into Fox from that point for the rest of the day because of Jesse and Gutfeld and a few other folks. So.
And he was a very good person to bring up people from both sides when he did Red Eye. He had Steven Crowder and
That's a
Amy
while ago.
Schumer on the same show back in
Wow.
the day. Yeah, so but he knows how to control the room. He knows how to talk to everybody, whether you agree with him or not. He's still welcome to hear your conversations, and that's the Joe Rogan effect. We want to listen to people that will actually take into account what other people think. You don't have to agree, but you also don't have to demonize them to the point of like a Jimmy Kimmel.
And I like the way that he talks to his guests on his panels because he's definitely in control of the show. He moderates his own group of people. You always feel like people are just waiting for an opportunity to answer a question from him. It's oftentimes like being on this show on WDW Pro and that Park Place is the way they're organized and structured. The audience doesn't feel like it's cacophony, people stomping on each other and everything else. So.
Well, and furthermore, you know, all this talk now all of a sudden about not us versus them.
Yeah.
When's the last time he had someone, we'll say just a little of right of center on his show? What is that?
What a
When does that happen?
fantastic point. What a fantastic point. He wants to play this game, Michelle, of no, I'm in the middle. I'm trying to help bridge the gap. But red versus blue, blue versus red. I'm not about that. Michelle, he hasn't had a conservative person on his show in years. Years.
So, if I may, the whole thing gets thrown out the window for me because he's smirking the entire time. Somebody that is trying to make a good point and is trying to make an important point doesn't smirk and besmirch the other side. If you're trying to bridge that gap, you're going to do so with good faith and a kind heart, and he doesn't have that. He is honestly a vile human being, and I don't like to say that of other people, but he is. And the way the mannerisms in which he talks and his moral high ground, the man is the embodiment of the verse in the Bible. You know, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it? All these people that talk this way follow their heart to such a level of suicidal empathy that it hurts them. And it blinds their vision of how actual people talk and relate to each other in the real world. Jimmy Kimmel telling other Christians how to live is me telling Culture Casino how to properly fertilize his garden. I will not do so.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Yeah. Someone in the chat brought up a name that I was already thinking of. He's trying to act all of a sudden like he's Bill Maher. Like, you know, I mean, for as much as I disagree with Bill Maher on plenty of things, I appreciate the fact that he's willing to have conversations and really, I feel, doesn't try to make it, when I say them versus us, I mean Trump voters or Republican voters versus Democratic voters.
He does seem like a genuine voice that's, you know, trying to prevent the tribalism in the society that we're facing right now. You know, and he's calling
here's
out
a good
the
way
fact,
to think about it.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Culture.
Oh no, I'm saying he's calling out the fact that, you know, there shouldn't be this violent rhetoric or anything that would incite violence. And look, I think Maher every once in a while hits a home run. I think that oftentimes, like Michelle, I'm not super thrilled with what he has to say, but he's still a funny guy like Gutfeld, and he's still able to talk to everybody like Gutfeld. I mean, Gutfeld still allows that Tarlov chick on there, and I'm like, I despise her because she talks like a panelist on CNN. So anyway, it is what it is.
Well, Culture, the deal is, I think that Gutfeld would go on Kimmel. I don't think there's any way that Kimmel would go on Gutfeld. And so
Yeah,
the word of the day is, folks, you think Kimmel would go on, you think Kimmel would go on Gutfeld?
Yeah, I think Kimmel is desperate to prove he's a genuine person and improve his audience by adding to it. No, I'm telling you,
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. I think you would find Fallon. I think you'd find Fallon over there. I don't think you'd find Colbert. You know, the people that understand the position they're in and what it takes to get more audience, I think they would be more inclined to go on a show that they might see as adversarial. But again, that's also me stepping back from it with a business mind going, this is an opportunity.
All right, folks, the word of the day for Jimmy Kimmel is smarmy.
What's today's secret word?
You know, it's always sad when one of these video ends, and yet it is the beginning of the wait for the next one to land. 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. And by the way, there's plenty more on our partner channels. That Part Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and go check out the original music we have on stations like Vacation Radio. We'd love to have you, love to entertain you. At least we'll do a better job than some of the current entertainment companies. Folks, like, share, subscribe, and you know what? Drop a comment right on down below. Share this out anywhere you go on social media. And until the next time, we have the honor, the pleasure of getting to spend time with you when you choose to invite us into your day to add the value that we hope to bring your way. We ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.